around the world are honored and appreciated, as each and every one brings to the S.I.T. community the gift of their various experience, their rich linguistic and cultural knowledge, and the wisdom of their real and these days their virtual communities. The award that we all get, faculty and students alike, is a better and a deeper and a more nuanced understanding of the world, an experience with different epistemologies, a heightened cross-cultural and cross-linguistic awareness, the generation of socially important questions worth exploring, the creation of new communities, and the building of bridges between individuals and communities which at some point may have seemed to be belonging to almost parallel universes. Though interpreted kind of differently by different people, the concept of convocation somehow reminded me of the way, struck me as similar to the way the Italians use the word ciao, meaning both hello and goodbye. At S.I.T, we welcome people at, almost all the time. Our academic year students in the fall, then we have the low residency students, and we welcome them at different entry points. And then we have the Fulbright scholars and the Trace and Ford Foundation students, the contact students, the government institute students in the summer. And somehow we never say goodbye, As every year, some of our alumni will host internships and practicum for our current students. They will teach some of our face-to-face and our online courses. They will co-present at conferences with us, and some of them will sponsor faculty to conduct workshops and do teacher training at different spots around the world where for visa, financial, and all kinds of other types of inequality, people can never make it to the beautiful Vermont campus. So good luck and best wishes to all of us for another invigorating academic year. Make your journey full of exploration and full of adventure. A little bit of glorious fall colors, a little bit of snow, and sometimes quite a bit of snow and a little bit of snowshoeing, a little bit of maple syrup, a little bit of Vermont bread and cheese always add up to a very nice mixture. So ever since the early days of the experiment in international living, we have embraced the motto, expect the unexpected. Through experience, we have also learned that you can never rest on your laurels. Each new cohort of students, together with faculty, creates a uniquely new universe abundantly full of possibility. So enjoy yours in good health and with a sense of well-being. Ciao a tutti and happy learning and teaching.
Thank you, Elka. So we've reached the point in the program where we're moving toward conclusion, slowly but steadfastly. We have a little musical entertainment that we're going to bring forward. So I'm going to ask my colleagues from the faculty and staff to step forward, off stage, onto the grass. And this song was championed by Professor John Ungerleider. So big shout out to John and faculty singers up front.
Somebody like come on over here. This builds on.
This builds on what Elka was talking about the meaning of convocation, and I know. Oh, need the. You know what? I need this. And I see a lot of my great foundation section students here, and they're great singers, so maybe they can jump in if you feel it. Let's need for a proper school to manifest our peaceful mission. So he took an alphabet soup and gave it meaning. M-A-T-P-I-M S-I-T, all together. There's a convocation going on. Come out of your classes. Don't miss the special celebration. Everyone's invited. Convocation. Ooh, come on out. I'd say something. Celebration. Here and now. We're still reaching over borders. After all these years, people from every nation learning to bring down the walls of fear. There's a convocation going on, coming together to bring out peace and understanding, a global village party. Convocation. Come on out. Celebration. Here and now. Now everybody. Convocation. Coming together. Convocation. Coming together. Convocation. Coming together. One more time, everybody. Convocation. Coming together. Thank you. The S.I.T. faculty and staff singers.
Well, I don't know about all of you, but I'm sure that was a good rise for the faculty. So, and just to show you the power of many voices, that came out of 2 rehearsals totaling 22 minutes. So, not bad. Let's give them a big shout out for work well done.
Samuel, what did you do the other 21 minutes?
I invite you to our next rehearsal, Brian. Okay, so putting the thoughts together now, I'm going to invite our provost and a graduate of PIM to step forward and offer his thoughts on the year ahead. Our provost, John Lucas. John.
So that's a really hard act to follow, and I'm not going to sing. But we've heard a little bit tonight about convocation, about coming together, and about community. And I've been reflecting a lot on this idea of community and connectedness recently. Tara Brach, who's a U.S. psychologist and a practitioner of Buddhist meditation, refers to our longing to belong. She states that human beings are born to connect. We're hardwired to reach out to other human beings. And in fact, that's really what S.I.T. is all about with intercultural programming that we have. But here's the trick. Our cultures both bring us together. They give us a sense of who we are and help us connect with our roots and our heritage, but they can also separate and divide us if we focus too much on the differences. And so I want to offer a few thoughts as we come together convocation again as a new community this academic year. Just a couple of quick thoughts. First, I want to talk about how we can become more aware of our connectedness. Where do we start this business of becoming a community that we've talked about tonight? And then I might want to suggest a couple of ideas about how we maintain and balance our need to keep our own individual beliefs and values and those of our culture, even as we show deep respect for difference that we have with our fellow community members. And finally, to end a little bit by reflecting on why it's specifically important here as master's students at S.I.T. That we begin this year by reflecting on how to be in community with one another. And so the first noble truth of Buddhism is that we're hardwired to struggle. And so the beginning of our understanding of connection lies in really getting to understand our disconnection and what it is that separates us. What did you show up with in your master's program today? What do you bring? And you probably, like me, when I was a student, I was sitting out there thinking, you know, am I smart enough to do this? Am I ready for this? Is all this group work right for me? I'm kind of a bookish guy too. As provost, I think, am I old enough and wise enough to help lead this community of leaders, folks who were themselves my teachers and to whom I look up? Whatever that narrative is that's going on, that narrative about what we should be, what we ought to be, what we need to be, is separating us somehow from each other and making it difficult, perhaps, for us to be in community. So, as our invocation suggested today, the first maybe thought would be to slow down, to reflect, to accept whatever it is that's making you feel disconnected. So ironically, we begin our understanding of connectedness by understanding our own disconnection. The poet Rilke says, "I live my life in widening circles that reach out across the world. I may not complete this last one, but I give myself to it." So it really begins in the center with yourself and ripples out. For the first human being that you meet is yourself. And if you can't learn to be gentle with yourself, how then can you be gentle with one another? And so the second thought I have is really a story. This is a wonderful story of a group of monks who were out maybe in the hills here of Massachusetts or Vermont somewhere, and their community was beginning to fall apart because they were losing connection. People were no longer coming to be inspired by their teaching. Nobody wanted to join the community, and they wondered why. And they couldn't quite figure this out. But there was a Jewish rabbi down the road, a woman who was really wise and had been retired for a while and was coming to the area to enjoy the beautiful falls. And so the abbot said, I'm going to go talk to her and see if I can't figure out what she might offer this community. And so they went to lunch and they had a wonderful talk about religions and difference and cultures, and it was great. And at the end the abbot thought, well, this is wonderful, but I don't know if I got what I needed. And so he said to the Jewish rabbi, he said, our community is falling apart. What advice would you give us? And she said, the Messiah is among you. And so he thought, well, what does that mean? This Jewish rabbi is saying the Messiah is among you. So he went back to his fellow monks there and he said, well, she said the Messiah is among us. And they started kind of discussing that. And said, well, it's not Brother Ethelbert. I mean, he's kind of grumpy and not particularly nice. And it sure as heck isn't, Father Thomas over there. I mean, he's not very bright and it can't be me. And they all kind of began to struggle with this idea and it became aware of the fact that, well, maybe she had something there. Maybe there was something to this Messiah was among us. They started being a bit more gentle with one another and a bit more kind to one another. Well, what if it is Brother Ethelbert or Friar Thomas or whomever? And as they became more reflective and more peaceful with one another, people started coming to the community and sensing that there was a real sort of warmth there, and they wanted to come and be a part of this community and study and learn. And before long, the community began to be regenerated, and they'd understood really what the truth of that wisdom was. And so whether or not this word Messiah matters or is helpful to you isn't important. If I were the rabbi in the story, I might offer to the community this: the fullness of human potential is among you. And so the reflection might be then, how might we behave towards one another if we truly believe that the person sitting to our left or to our right, behind us, before us, whether they're the gardener, whether they're the provost, whether they're a fellow student, or a neighbor down the road, the fullness of human potential is among you. And if you behave towards one another in this manner, perhaps then the community kind of calls forth and comes together. Rilke also suggests that love consists of this: two solitudes that meet, protect, and greet each other. So once you become more aware of yourself, you create the space, the openness to welcome others, to be in community with others. Reconnecting creates possibility and space for this kind of connection with others. And so finally, I would say, why is this especially important that we be about community here at S.I.T.? And I think that the answer is in all of the speeches that we've heard today and the talks that we've heard, which is, no matter whether you're a student of international development or conflict transformation or education, ultimately what we're trying to be about is to create the possibility of reconnection. This longingness that we all have and everyone in the world has to feel like we belong. What is peace building if it's not creating possibility for community out of brokenness? What is sustainable development if it isn't figuring out how we reconnect with the world that we have, or our environment that we have, or what community's needs might be? What is education if it isn't connection? And so that's what I would offer you today, is to think about your own needs first and your own place. Whatever it is, don't judge it, just be with that. And then widen those circles out, as Rilke said, to begin to accept and welcome in the possibility of others. And so I think that this story will help us to kind of think and reflect on community. And I welcome all of you to this community and the community that we are creating together and begin to create together tonight. So thank you and welcome to S.I.T.
Okay. Thank you, John. So we're going to close in about maybe a minute and a half and move on to a warmer environment. Well, first I'd like to say to all the folks, all the speakers, invited speakers and so on, that it really is a pleasure to hear the power in words and images and holding to ideals and visions and dreams and creating them together with you. These are the thoughts from a selected few today. Next year there'll be different folks who will have the opportunity to address a different group of students. But in the light of this kind of discourse, it creates an opportunity for everyone to think, to reflect, but mostly to engage and to get involved. So the hope is that in some small but not benign and not banal way, I hope that you have been touched by something or many things that you've heard over the past 40 minutes or so. The point of any human ritual, such as we've created here, is in some way to mark a moment in time. And in this regard, I hope and trust that we have succeeded going forward in this year's academic convocation. We've been given much to reflect on. Each of our ongoing insights and discernments, offered informally to our peers and colleagues in and out of class, or in a more formal context, will help to create the multifaceted, multi-angled, and complex community in which we have chosen to work, study, learn, and grow. One of the other rituals that human communities do, and they get to share in and enjoy together, is the breaking of bread and the sharing of a bounteous harvest and meal. Following the recessional now, I hope everyone will join us for our first dinner together, chosen to be kind of a multicultural feast representing several of the different countries that we are from. And we hope that we'll have a chance for the stage to meet the folks in the seats in front of me and to mix and mingle and to share in the building of this next year together. So thank you for showing up today, and here's to a successful academic year together. Thanks for coming. Let's have the folks on the stage file out, and then join us please in the IC for dinner.
And I hope you're bringing this thing back there.
I'm putting everything up there. If you want to help with that, that would be cool.